The echo between us. The rain tapped softly against the window of the precinct, a metronome to Lena's sleepless thoughts. It was just past 3 a.m., and the hum of fluorescent lights was the only sound besides the storm outside. The city was always quieter when it rained, like it was holding its breath. She flipped through the file again. A missing girl. Harper Vale, 17, last seen 2 nights ago on the edge of Elder Pine Forest, just outside town. The same forest where they found Aaron's necklace 10 years ago. Coincidence? Maybe. But Lena's gut had stopped believing in those a long time ago. A photo slid loose from the folder. Harper, smiling, blonde hair in a braid, a silver chain around her neck. Lena's heart seized. It was the same one. The exact same pendant Aaron wore. Suddenly, every breath felt heavier. She stood up, shoving the file into her jacket. If there was a connection, it wasn't going to wait until sunrise, because something told her this girl wasn't missing. She was being hunted. Elder Pine Forest had always made Lena uneasy. The trees didn't creak like normal woods, they whispered. Even now, as she parked at the trailhead and stepped out, her breath caught in the stillness. No birds, no wind, just silence, like the forest was listening. The flashlight beams sliced through the darkness as she followed the muddy path. Memories fought their way to the surface. Her sister's voice, laughter the day Aaron vanished. Lena hadn't set foot here since the search team called it off. 50 yards in, she saw it. A shoe. Small, soaked in mud. Definitely Harper's size. It was half buried near the base of a gnarled pine, like someone tried to hide it and gave up. Lena crouched, inspecting it, when something cracked behind her. She whipped around, flashlight trembling slightly in her grip. Nothing. Just trees. But the air, it shifted, like someone or something had just stepped away. Her radio crackled, static at first, then a faint voice. Lena? She fret voice. No. Impossible. Lena, come find me. Aaron's voice, clear, alive, whispering from her radio. Her blood went cold. She dropped the flashlight, and in the pitch black, something breathed right beside her ear. Lena stumbled back, heart pounding. Her hand fumbled in the dark for the flashlight, fingers slick with rain and shaking from something colder than fear, recognition. That voice. It was Aaron's. Not a memory, not a dream. But how? She clicked the flashlight back on. The beam flickered weakly before holding. The woods around her looked the same, but felt different. The air was thick now, heavier, like the trees had leaned in closer to watch. She brought the radio to her lips. Who is this? She asked, her voice hoarse. Silence. Aaron? You never looked deep enough. Lena's breath hitched. The voice wasn't coming from the radio anymore. It echoed, soft and close, like someone had whispered it from just behind her shoulder. She spun around. Still no one. But then she saw it, carved into the bark of a tree just off the trail. E.C. Bro 413. Aaron Cross, the day she vanished. Lena reached out, running her fingers over the engraving. The bark felt strange, wet, sticky. She pulled her hand back and froze. Blood. Fresh. Her flashlight flickered again. Died. She smacked it, cursed, shook it, but the light was gone. And that's when she heard it. Not footsteps. Dragging. Something was moving through the forest. Heavy. Slow. Coming closer. She backed away, trying to keep her breathing quiet, but it was no use. A low growl rolled through the trees. Then from the darkness, you shouldn't have come back. Lena ran. Branches tore at her coat as she crashed through the underbrush, the growl behind her growing louder, deeper, inhuman. Her legs ached, her lungs burned, but she didn't stop. Nothing. No sound. No growl. No wind. Just silenced. She stopped, panting. The forest had changed. The trail was gone. The trees were too close, knotted together like ribs of something long dead. And the sky above, what little she could see through the branches, was wrong. Red. Not the glow of dawn, but blood red, like the world was bleeding from above. Her flashlight still wouldn't work. Her radio was dead. Her phone, no signal. That's when she saw it. A clearing up ahead. In the center, a wooden cabin. Rotting. Tilted. Like it had been swallowed and spit back out by the forest. One single window glowed faintly. She stepped closer, drawn by something she couldn't explain. Something familiar. The door creaked open before she even touched it. Inside, dust danced in the strange red light. The air smelled like damp wood and old grief. On the table, untouched by time, was a photo. Lena. Aaron, smiling, but in the background, barely visible, was the same cabin, the same forest. Except they'd never taken that picture. And in the corner of the room, a mirror, cracked, and in its reflection, Aaron, standing, watching, whispering words Lena couldn't hear it, until the mirror shattered, and the door slammed shut behind her. Mirror shards lay scattered across the floor, gleaming like ice, but Lena couldn't move, couldn't breathe, because even shattered, Aaron's face was still there, reflected in every shard, watching her, mouthing something she couldn't hear, until she did. "He sees you now." Lena stumbled back, hitting the wall. The lights in the cabin, if they were lights, dimmed to a reddish pulse, beating in sync with her heart. Or maybe not hers. Something was behind the mirror. Not just a wall, a space, a black void. Something stirred inside it, a shape, massive, shifting. Watching, Lena's body screamed at her to run, but her mind was locked in that stare, hypnotized. The void wasn't empty, it was alive, a presence, ancient, hungry. The air whispered around her like leaves rustling in reverse. You were never meant to remember. Suddenly the floor split beneath her, wood turning to wet earth, then to reeds, then to hands. They pulled her down. She didn't scream. There was no air. She fell. Through memory, through time, through the night her sister vanished. Lena is 16 again, the forest, the same one. Aaron's hand in hers, a dare to go deeper, the voice calling them, just like tonight. Only Aaron followed it. Only Aaron heard the promise. You'll never be alone again. And Aaron stepped into the mirror. Lena jolts awake, not in the cabin, in a tunnel of roots. The walls pulse like veins. Voices echo in every direction. Aaron's others, children, men, women, all whispering from inside the forest. She isn't alone, but she's never been more terrified. A voice calls out, closer this time. He remembers you too, Lena. Lena moved through the tunnel, her boots sinking into the damp, pulsing earth. The air throbbed like it had a heartbeat, and the roots lining the walls twitched when she touched them, like nerves reacting to her presence. The voices were louder now, layers of whispers, chanting, crying, laughing, Aaron's voice among them. You're almost there. The tunnel opened suddenly into a vast underground chamber, circular, the ceiling lost in darkness. In the center stood a stone monolith, ancient and cracked, covered in symbols that pulsed with a dull red glow. And at its base, a door, ornate, tall, carved with the same markings Lena had seen on the tree in the forest. Her hand reached for it, almost against her will. The handle was ice cold. As soon as she touched it, a voice boomed. Not in the air, in her head. You seek what cannot be returned. You break the seal, you feed the hollow. She gasped, stumbling back. Blood dripped from her nose. The stone was humming now, growing louder, like it was responding to her thoughts. Then something stepped out from the dark behind the monolith. Not human. Too tall. Too thin. A body shaped like a man, but with limbs that moved wrong. Its face, no features, just bark and shadow. A mouth where there should be none. And from that mouth, a voice like wind through dead leaves. She chose me, Lena, and now you will too. Lena backed away, but her foot struck something. A bone. Dozens of them, all around the chamber. Skulls, fingers, broken teeth, victims of whatever this was. But then a whisper from the door. Lena, don't listen. Aaron, she was behind the door. Still alive? Trapped? Lena turned back to the figure, heart hammering. It didn't move, just stood there, watching, waiting. And the door was still open. Just a crack, enough for her to slip through, if she dared. Lena's fingers trembled as she pushed the door. It creaked open, not fast, not slow, just enough to let out a gust of air that wasn't air. It was memory. Warm, cold, bitter, sweet. Her entire childhood flashed behind her eyes, then vanished into shadow. She stepped through. The door slammed shut behind her. Silence. Then, a heartbeat. Not hers. Louder. Slower. Ancient. She stood in a hallway of mirrors, tall and crooked, stretching far into darkness. Each one reflected something different. Not her face, but her regrets. In one, she saw herself at Aaron's funeral, crying, but Aaron was there, alive, staring through the glass with hollow eyes. In another, Lena saw herself turning back, leaving the forest, letting Aaron go. The mirrors pissed, the images shifted. We are made of what we refuse to face, came the voice again. That's how I grow. Then a final mirror appeared at the end of the hall, towering, cracked in the middle. And on the other side, Aaron, alive, eyes wide, hale. She looked barely older than the day she disappeared. Her hands were pressed against the glass. Lena, she whispered, you have to break it. Lena ran forward, but something grabbed her ankle. She fell hard. The floor turned to hands again, grasping, pulling, the entity rising behind her, taller than before. Its voice shattered the silence. Break the mirror, and you take her place. That is the cost. Lena looked up at her sister. Erin's eyes begged her, pleaded, and Lena understood. This was never about saving her sister. It was about replacing her. The forest didn't steal people, it traded them. And Lena had a choice.